It must have been offensive to the potato when the phrase couch potato was introduced. Nobody wants to be known as lazy. It all started with Tom Lucino, just an ordinary guy who called up his best friend on the phone. His best friend's girlfriend answered and Tom casually asked, "Hey, is couch potato home?" The girlfriend glared into the living room, and there was Tom's friend lying on the couch watching TV. That was pretty much it until a man by the name of Robert Armstrong approached Tom to get the rights to a comic strip in the 1980s where he could use the phrase. Tom teamed up with Robert in business, and the Couch Potato series took off and made a lot of people a lot of money. That was not the first instance that Potato lost out on royalties. The multi-million-dollar toy company Hasbro introduced Mr. Potato Head in 1952 and Mrs. Potato Head in 1953. And when Toy Story, the movie, was launched, the product sales rocketed. Sadly, no royalties went to Potato then. As a BYU Idaho student, it's interesting to explore the life of the potato since the university resides in the potato state. The potato has not been reviled by mankind, even though it played a pivotal role during famines and spiritual and emotional healing to the saints. Frederick of Prussia, of Great Prussia, saw the potatoes as a potential to help feed his nation, and they were cheaply to produce. So Frederick did face a challenge, though, because his people had a prejudice against the plant. When he ordered them to plant in 1774 to avoid a famine, his subjects announced, "The things they have neither smell nor taste. Not even the dogs eat them. So what are they to us? What good are they to us?" Frederick used a bit of reverse psychology, and he planted a large crop in his royal field, and he placed guards around his crop. And of course, the silly peasants thought anything worth guarding must be worth stealing. So they snuck into his field and stole his plants and planted them in their own gardens. So Frederick got what he wanted, but the lasting stigmatism attached to the potato continued as religious groups mocked the potato. European historians state that there was a fear of potatoes when it was introduced from a faraway continent in the Andes, an uncivilized non-Christian folk. Aside from its odd, somewhat ugly appearance, they said the potato had a bitter taste. Worst of all, because the potato was never mentioned in the Bible, it must be from the devil. Northern Ireland and Scotland refused to plant the potato, but the Catholic Irish were somewhat open as they sprinkled their seedlings with holy water and planted on a Good Friday. At least somebody had something good to say about the potato. The literary herbalists said that it had therapeutic benefits, such as it enhanced sexual desire and promoted fertility and longevity, and it cured tuberculosis and diarrhea. But still into the 19th century, the nickname SPUD appeared, which apparently stood for the Society for the Prevention of Unwholesome Diets, featuring guess who? The potato. Even though there was nothing unwholesome about the diet of potatoes except if you lattered them with butter and sour cream and bacon bits, nutritionally, the potato supplied complex carbohydrates, protein, vitamin C, potassium, fiber, is rich in iron and magnesium. So this healthy little tuber finally arrived in the colonies in 1621, in which is called New Hampshire, and eventually traveled west to Idaho, where it began being planted in 1836. The life of the potato worsened, though, once it got to America, for it was chopped into strips and thrown into boiling oil. It was shameful when companies like McCain and McDonald's traded its full-figured body for an anorexic physique. History has shown the potato to be remarkable. I gained a greater appreciation for the potato when I found this humbling story in LDS.org. It was entitled The Dutch Potato Project. A spiritual and emotional healing took place amongst the Netherlands and German saints as they planted potatoes. The devastating effects of war include famine, but spiritually the saints were suffering. Both areas were suffering. The Dutch LDS members started planting potatoes together, which of course helped with the food supply, but it also built a trust amongst the members, which had been lost because some had cooperated with the Germans and during the war, and this left others angry. towards them. But while regional leaders from the Netherlands and Germany met, the Dutch leaders learned that the German saints were worse off and suggested they could help. When they took their idea back to the membership, and the members were upset when they found out that their crop would be all given to the Germans. However, they did as their leaders asked, and they planted the potatoes and harvest and gave the crop to the German saints. The Germans were overwhelmed, and they began healing from the guilt they felt. This was a gesture of forgiveness, and the Dutch saints were blessed for their obedience, and they began to put away their feelings of anger towards the Germans. The potatoes over time have been rejected with frown and fear, yet it has remained constant. Even though has not become royalty rich, it has preserved human life.